everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Transfer Portal podcast. It is Monday, December 20th, and I'm here with Andrew and Josh to look over this past week and what we're looking to see in college football this week. So how are y'all doing this Monday, guys?
Doing good, doing great. Just got done with the first set of bowl games. Got a lot more this week and excited to talk about them.
There's so much football, and I'm so happy every single day this football, and it's the best time of the year.
Yes, exactly. So best time of the year. We kicked off bowl season this past weekend with a handful of bowls. So we're going to just talk through some of those bowl games and kind of what the big takeaways from them were. Let's start first with the Cure Bowl between Coastal Carolina and Northern Illinois. Pretty close game. Coastal Carolina took away the win, 47-41. It was their school's first bowl game win, so congratulations to them. Just reading that it was a highly controversial game. So what y'all got to say about that one?
Yeah, I'm kind of upset because I did take Northern Illinois in the picks, and you were right. There was a controversial end. Just to kind of give a brief rundown, Northern Illinois has a catch on the left sideline, about inside the 10, a few seconds left. Obviously, first down, stops the clock. We don't even know if that was a catch. They ruled it a catch, just moving everything. And so the rule in college football is you start the clock once the ref blows his whistle after a first down, especially in like hurry up. And the weirdest thing is when they place the ball down, when the ref is still like in the offensive line, they start the clock. There's 2 seconds left. They don't have time to get a play off, and they end the game. So people are calling at the refs like, hey, why aren't you letting them get a play off? The ref is still in the offensive line. You didn't start the clock. The clock operator started without a ref whistle. That all kind of happened. But then you also look, was that even a catch? You know, he lost possession, so you can have that whole catch debate that no one knows the answer to. No one will ever know the answer to. But, looking at the game overall, it was so entertaining because it was just points. I want to say it was like the first 7 possessions all ended in points. You got to love that, especially for a bowl that's not highly looked at. It's the Cure Bowl. It's Coastal versus NIU. NIU won the MAC. Coastal was a very interesting team going into the year, but glad to see that Coastal ended their season on a high. And if you're Northern Illinois, obviously you wanted to win this bowl, but you had such a big improvement this year. You can't really look down on yourselves. Just look at this as an improvement and get ready for next year.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's going to be lost with the ending game controversy is that Grayson McCall, just again, he had another great game. He 22 of 30, 315 yards, 4 touchdowns. And once again, like something that kind of flew under the radar is that he did, I think right now he's still number 1 with passer rating ahead of guys like CJ Stroud, Hendon Hooker, Bryce Young, all those guys.
I want to say he broke the record.
Yeah. And just, their offense is like triple option, spread, weird off run. It's awesome. It's just awesome. They take everything and just mash it together. And he's really good at it. So I don't know, we'll see. There have been some talks that he might go to the draft. I think he might need one more year, but if he does go, I think he'd be pretty good. And again, just a great year from McCall. Shout out to Coastal Carolina. Northern Illinois, just again, another close game, as it always was for them. Tough loss, but hey, for both sides, it was a really fun game.
For sure. Moving on to just truly an interesting bowl game. Not the game itself, just the bowl. But the Bahamas Bowl, Middle Tennessee took it away 31-24, beating Toledo. I feel like Twitter was the most entertaining during that. YouTube TV really stole some football games from me. It's okay, they're back now. I'm all set. But it was just fascinating scrolling through Twitter during that. So what was it like for y'all watching that game?
Just seeing a game in the Bahamas is always fun. Congrats to the kids from Toledo and Middle Tennessee getting away from the weird weather that's happening right now and getting to just go to sunny Nassau, Bahamas. But the story of this game was Middle Tennessee with a 17-point fourth quarter, taking the game away from Toledo. Toledo was double-digit favorites going into this game, and they lost. That was probably something nobody expected. We were just like, we were all looking at this game. No one's going to pay super close attention to it because, once again, it is the Bahamas Bowl. But everyone was thinking, oh, Toledo's, yeah, they're probably like going to win by a lot. I mean, it's Toledo, it's Middle Tennessee. No one really cares. Middle Tennessee showed out. Doug's player to watch, Brian Koback, 18 carries for 126 yards. So he definitely had a solid day. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's Middle Tennessee with that 17-point quarter. It was just, that was a game. That was a bowl game.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is that Middle Tennessee all year, they've basically been win by a lot or lose by a lot. They are down to their third and fourth string quarterbacks after one guy retired and another guy got injured. And so they've been kind of struggling, and they barely made it in. And so I get why Toledo was a double-digit point favorite. They've been a really good team all year. Toledo's been close to a lot of teams. They almost beat Notre Dame on the road. And it's just that Middle Tennessee just is a chaos team, and they had chaos in the fourth quarter. And so that was a fun one in the Bahamas.
All right, moving on, the Boca Raton Bowl, Western Kentucky beating App State 59-38. Just another tropical bowl, if you will, down in Florida. What about you, Josh, takeaways from this game?
I mean, I picked App State against my better judgment. I knew that Western Kentucky, they were all their players, even if they're graduating or transferring, they were staying. I knew their offense was really good, so I thought App State had the better overall team. That was dumb. Why am I going against Bailey Zappi? That was just a great performance by him. Like they said, coaches, players, they said that yeah, Zappi's going for the records. Finishes with 62 passing touchdowns, gets this close to 6,000 passing yards. That was just awesome to see. It was super fun. And just like the biggest talk again, like how all these guys came in from Houston Baptist, and they basically just helped teach everyone the offense throughout the offseason. So when they're ready week one, they're ready to go. And it showed all year, and it definitely showed in this bowl game because I thought it'd be close. Because App State, don't let this fool you, everybody. They're a good team, but you go up against an offense like that, there's not much you can do.
Dynamic offense. That's all you can really say about this game. Jareth Stearns. I mean, we've been talking a lot about Bailey Zappi, and he does deserve a lot of talk. Jareth Stearns had a heck of a year. 150 receptions. When's the last time you heard of someone getting 150 receptions? Right? That's freaking insane. 1,900 yards, 7 touchdowns. He has just been so fun to watch this year. Two friends of the transfer portal, Jareth Stearns and Bailey Zappi. So just great to see them end on top. And I will say, Texas Tech fans, they were watching that game close. They're excited for next year with Zach Kitley.
Yep, and now we move on to a battle of some HBCUs, the Celebration Bowl, South Carolina State defeating Jackson State 31-10. Big upset from some transfer portal picks. I think everyone was kind of Jackson State that week had just signed the 5-star. Everyone's like, oh, Dion has it going on there. And Dion did not have it going on Saturday. So what are y'all's takeaways from the Celebration Bowl?
Shaquan Davis, boy, did he have a game. 3 touchdowns for South Carolina State. He showed out. He did the primetime shuffle in the end zone. So that was definitely something to watch. He had another celebration at the Celebration Bowl. I love my puns. He had another one, like his 3rd touchdown. It was some weird TikTok dance, but you know what? You score 3 touchdowns in a bowl game, the Celebration Bowl. Do whatever you want. I mean, that's when you do celebrate. You don't celebrate when, there's 20 seconds left in a game. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, I mean, South Carolina State, it was definitely a big upset, but I feel like not a lot of people also watch the HBCUs, mainly because there's no way to watch them. Like, the only way you can watch them is like ESPN Plus, and that's if you're lucky to get a Jackson State game. I feel like they need to do the networks need to do a better job of advertising this because there is so much talent in the SWAC and the MEAC.
For sure. Yes. Emphasizing that very strongly.
Yeah. Shame on us for not doing research, and shame on me especially because I pride myself on like really digging deep and knowing all these things. And I should have known that South Carolina State's Oliver Pugh head coach is just one of the best out there. Since he took over the job in 2002, his overall record is 143-80, his in-conference record is 109-38, which is ridiculous. Unlike people who have coached under him have been Tony Elliott and Billy Napier. He's been super good. This team, South Carolina State, I think the problem was we all looked at the records and Jackson State only has one loss, and that was to Louisiana Monroe, and it was close. So I think again, like Lauren was saying, we're all building off the hype of sign the 5-star, just the hype of the season. Just the thing is that Oliver Pugh and those guys, they're just a better coach team. Nothing against Deion Sanders, like great team in Jackson State, but just all day just looked like South Carolina State was the better coach team. And it showed out. And unfortunately, I think we all picked Jackson State. So we all, we can all hold this L.
Yes, for sure. That's how I felt too. I was like, excuse me, what was that score? All right, moving on. The New Mexico Bowl, Fresno State defeating UTEP 31-24. One of the Texas schools.
Heisman Hainer. I mean, I will say, all credit to Fresno State, but one of the most electric plays I've seen this year was that fake quarterback sneak with the tight end leaking out from the right side for a touchdown. Oh my gosh. Like, who thinks of that? Who thinks of a fake quarterback sneak? There was a quarterback and then 3 guys behind him, making it look like they were just going to push him for the first. And no, they have a tight end leak on the right side and just score. Who thinks of that? But at the same time, whoever thought of that is a genius.
Yeah, it was funny on Twitter. I can't remember who it was, so I apologize. But I saw someone, they said that in high school, they were harped on by their coach all week that, hey, watch the tight end on the QB sneak, and that they didn't. And thankfully, the tight end dropped a wide open touchdown. So I guess, just got to watch out for it. And we finally saw it. And yeah, it was super cool to see Jake Haener come back and play. But really, shout out to Jordan Mims. He came in, Ronnie Rivers, a starting running back, a really good running back. He opted out, save his body for the draft. Jordan Mims came in and he had 165 yards on the ground with 2 touchdowns, another 71 through the air, and another touchdown. He just took over the game. That was super cool to see. And like, shout out to UTEP, just a scrappy team all year. Great overall. They're hopefully building something after kind of being down in the dumps for a long time. So again, another entertaining game. And again, as Andrew said, that fake QB sneak was one of the coolest plays I've seen in a long, not just this year, just in a long time.
Yeah. All right. The Independence Bowl. UAB shocking a whole bunch of people, defeating BYU 31-28 after BYU's impressive season. Everyone's going, you lost to who? What are y'all's thoughts about that game and how that went down?
I mean, what the heck was that game? Like, first off, shout out the Sickos committee, because that was the Sickos Bowl, Shreveport, and the weather in the first half was just definition of Sickos. That first half was something weird. Second half was a little bit more normal, but it was still pretty sick. As much as we talked up Tyler Algier going into this, and he definitely deserved to be talked about. He had almost 200 yards on 3 touchdowns for 27 carries. Dwayne McBride for UAB almost matched that. He didn't have quite as many scores, but he had 183 yards on the ground. I feel like we're not really talking about that enough. Like, they matched BYU's run game, which is very tough to do.
Yeah, I previewed this bowl game and I had BYU winning and dominating pretty much. I kind of based it off of last year's game when they matched up against UCF, a really fun team, and they just out physical UCF. And I thought they'd do the same to UAB, but UAB just all game, they were as physical, if not more physical than UAB. Like Andrew was saying, they just beat them up in the run game. And shout out though to my 2 players who I highlighted for UAB. I highlighted quarterback Dylan Hopkins, 19-23 for 189 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then Trey Shropshire, the wide receiver, only had 2 receptions, but one of them was the go-ahead touchdown that eventually won them the game. And again, shout out to UAB, Bill Clark and that squad, just great all year. I just thought that UAB had the better and bigger athletes, as I'm reading off my article. And I'm embarrassed to say that they didn't, but hey, shout out to both teams. That was awesome.
All right. Moving on to a game I previewed, the Lending Tree Bowl between Liberty and Eastern Michigan. Liberty, oh my goodness, words are hard. Liberty defeated Eastern Michigan 56-20. Really just Malik Willis's last college football hurrah. He really showed those high numbers that everyone had been looking for from him at Liberty all season long. The Eastern Michigan defense, they're kind of a struggle bus. And so looking at that, you're going, I hope Malik Willis can kind of exploit this, up some draft stock, all of that. And he for sure did it. You could tell he just felt really loved ending his career at Liberty there and will return back to the exact same stadium in Mobile for the Senior Bowl. So Malik Willis, really the shining star of that Lending Tree Bowl. Y'all's thoughts?
You put it perfectly. Malik Willis have a game. You may not see it in the stats, but my gosh, if you watch that game, some of the throws he made. There was a throw, and I'm just going to rattle off my memory real quick. Second or third quarter, he's evading in the pocket. He rolls out left, and he just throws a beautiful deep ball down the left sideline. Oh my gosh, it was beautiful. And then later in the game, he has the 30-something yard rush where he's splitting defenders. He's just showing off his speed. It was just a beautiful game to watch for him as a prospect. Obviously, his last collegiate game, very good for him to end on top. And I really do think this game is going to help his draft stock because NFL scouts are going to be like, okay, this kid can throw a deep ball. I will say, out of all the prospects in the draft, one of my favorite things about any prospect is watching Malik Willis throw a deep ball. It is just art. It is art personified. It's like watching Van Gogh paint. Malik Willis throw a deep ball is like watching Van Gogh paint.
Everything that Andrew said, of course, shout out to all the players in Liberty, but it was the Malik Willis show. And I think the thing he showed is that when he's actually given time, like any quarterback, but when he's given time, he can do magical things. And even when the pocket breaks down a little bit, as long as he's not running within 0.5 seconds of the snap, he can do good. Again, his arm is awesome. Some of his throws a little inaccurate. That's something he can work on. That'll be fine. So yeah, this was just a nice final showcase for him. Eastern Michigan, good year. They just ran into the Malik Willis show.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on, we've got the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, the funniest Twitter content of the day. That is a horrifying mascot. I do not believe that is a camel. But in that little Jimmy Kimmel show football game there, Utah State defeated Oregon State 24-13. Thoughts?
Jimmy Kimmel, if you're watching this, please never do that again. Ever. I hate when, and I'm going to go on a small rant here, I apologize. I hate when the bowl theatrics overtake the football game if it's not like the Rose Bowl or the Orange Bowl. It's the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. You name a bowl game after yourself. There's two ways you can think of this. You can think of it as egotistical, or you can think of it, he has enough money where he has earned the right to name a bowl game after himself. That's respect. But the mascot, Jimmy Camel, why? First off, why are you having a mascot for a bowl game? Just let the other two mascots duke it out. What?
It didn't look like a camel. I don't know.
It looked like Jimmy Kimmel. I've never seen a mascot look more like a person that was meant to look like an animal. Jimmy Camel. It had the mustache and everything. I understand it was probably meant to look like him, but that's creepy how much it looked like him. Outside of the Jimmy Kimmel show where the football at, intermission, if you want to say that, Utah State, what a season. They were projected by Vegas to have 3 regular season wins. They end up winning 9 in the regular season. They win it was 8 or 9? I can't remember at this time. They won the Mountain West, beating a good, San Diego State team. And then they beat Oregon State in the LA Bowl. Devin Tompkins, a guy no one talks about enough. He was another amazing receiver to watch this year. He led the game in receiving with 115 yards. Just so fun to watch players and teams that aren't projected to win just dominate.
Don't sell them short. They won 11 games.
Yeah. Okay. It was 9 plus awesome. The conference plus the bowl. Okay.
Yeah. Just a crazy awesome season for them coming off of last year. Shout out to backup quarterback Cooper Lega coming in your first throw and not only throwing a touchdown, calling an audible and then throwing your first touchdown. That's you. If you don't pull that off, you're getting benched. So that was just awesome to see from him. He finished 11-20, 171, 2 touchdowns. I think he threw a pick in there, but yeah, that was just. I picked Oregon State because I thought, oh, they've been a good team when they run the ball. They didn't run the ball that much for some reason. They decided to pass, which is a horrible idea. I don't know why you go away from what you're good at, but I'm not the coach. It was cool to see that. I will say though that seeing it, even though these are two like smaller schools, like even though Oregon State's a Power Five, smaller school in the Power Five, seeing them play in LA and having that experience at that cool stadium, that was fun to see. I bet that was fun for the players.
Yeah, SoFi Stadium is beautiful. Just just kind of going off what you said. Yeah, it's great for those smaller schools to play at a big stadium because obviously Utah State and Oregon State, they don't pull the massive crowds that like a Michigan or an Alabama or a Tennessee pull, but it's nice to see them play at one of the nicest venues in the country.
For sure. All right, moving on here, we've got the New Orleans Bowl. Louisiana playing Marshall and defeating them 36-21. All right.
Rasheen Ali. Rasheen Ali. He, even though he didn't win, he showed out 160 yards, few touchdowns. This guy proved that he's going to be a player to watch for the next year or two, however long he's in college and until he goes into the NFL. Because with the way he played, he's going to the NFL. Just the ultimate poise almost he plays with. It's extremely fun to watch. And Marshall, credit to them, they played a good football game. They just ran into Louisiana.
I think I was the only one in the transfer portal who picked Marshall, and I picked them because I looked at Louisiana and they had a skeleton coaching staff. I thought, they're gonna be missing a lot of coaches, and I know they have a lot of seniors, and I know they're a really good team, but they're missing a lot of coaches. That was again foolish on me for doing that. I should have trusted in the players. I loved Louisiana all year, and the one time I turned my back on them, that well deserved. Like Louisiana's offensive line, like they were talking about it all game. Like Michael Jr. was on the call, and that's awesome because former offensive lineman himself was talking about how Louisiana's offensive line, like even comparatively to like Power Five schools, they're big and they're strong, and they just proved it all day. Like Marshall just couldn't stop them when it came down to it, and Louisiana just ran all over them. So that was, I mean, I got a lesson there. And shout out to Louisiana. What an awesome season. Levi Lewis coming this close to setting the career passing yard record. I think he finished 14 yards short of Jake Delhomme. So shout out to Louisiana. I don't know how good they'll be next year because they are losing a lot of talent. Marshall, they're on the come up. Most of their guys are returning. So two programs that might be going in opposite directions, but at least for that night, Louisiana pulled out the victory.
For sure. All right, now moving on to today's only game, the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Tulsa took down Old Dominion 30-17. And can I just say that Josh Johnson had the largest game today? I was wrapping Christmas presents watching this game, and holy cow, Josh Johnson. He made this game his for sure. Thoughts on this game?
What a weird season for Tulsa. I mean, they finished it with a high, but when I think of Tulsa this year, I'm just gonna think of all the things that they were this close to doing. This close to beating Ohio State, this close to beating Cincinnati, this close to beating UC Davis, but they didn't. So it's a weird margin, but like you said, Josh Johnson had a heck of a day. They ended on top. Old Dominion, they had a okay season, but Tulsa was just the better team.
One of my friends, he transferred into Tulsa this year, and so I hadn't really watched either of these teams. And so I asked him, "Hey, why should I pick Tulsa?" And he said, "Don't pick us. We're bad. I don't know how we're both." I'm like, "All right, cool. I'll go Old Dominion." And I like Old Dominion's story. They were 1-5, 1-6, something like that, and they rattled off the rest of their games, and they won them all to get bowl eligible. And it looked good. They returned the opening kickoff, and then everything just collapsed. Tulsa just looked like the better team. Old Dominion couldn't do much all day. So to my friend, you know who you are. I hate you. You cost me another one, and I'm struggling in bowl picks, people, so I'm kind of bitter. But, shout out to Tulsa. That was fun.
All right, moving on. we're going to talk about the biggest names that are currently in the transfer portal that waiting to find a home. We're waiting for them to announce a home. So these guys, they'll be there in literally 3 weeks. No, I don't know how weeks work right now. 2 weeks or 2 to 3 weeks. These guys will be back at their new schools. So, Andrew, who is your biggest name still in the transfer portal?
It's tough because there's a lot of talent in there right now. There's two names that come to mind. I'll say one, Zach Evans, the running back from TCU. I did a little recap of about him as he entered the portal. He is such a fun player to watch. He had an injury that kind of cut off his year, but it's going to be really interesting to see where he ends up after, if you know, a weird recruiting process when he was coming out of high school. I've heard Tennessee, I've heard Georgia, I've heard there was a little bit of things about A&M, but as of right now, I haven't heard anything lately. So I have no clue what's going on right now with Zach Evans.
Zach Evans is also my pick in this moment. Yeah, I think for sure. I follow high school football closely. Everyone hears about Zach Evans. State championship happens. We hear more. Next thing we know, he's at TCU. TCU's been begging him to stay though, and he's kind of like, Gary Patterson's out, I'm out. So it'll definitely be interesting to see where he goes. I got a little inkling he'll end up staying in the state of Texas for sure. One of those kids that well rooted with family and everyone there. Josh, for your own pick.
It's tough. I love the running. There are a bunch of running backs up there. And I could maybe go for a sleeper. But honestly, I'll just be lame and I'll go with the quarterbacks. Keaton Slovis, his name is in the transfer portal, and he's been rumored to maybe go to Pitt or Notre Dame. But I don't know if he's actually good or if he's just a big name who was good his freshman year. I believe it's more that he was good his freshman year, and they're just the development or how would you say it? The undevelopment, whatever. The reverse development at USC for players besides wide receivers has been awful. So I just hope that he can find a good place. If he does go to Pitt, they have a good offense there. I believe the offensive coordinator left, but they still got
Yeah.
some good. Yeah, they still got a good offensive coaches there. So coach him up. He can have a bounce back season if he does go to Pitt. But I'll say Casey Thompson. Kind of an up and down career while he was at Texas, but I still like him. He's a really good athlete. He's flashed that he can be solid, and a lot of colleges will take an athletic solid quarterback. Sign me up. So wherever he goes, I think that'll be interesting, and I just like it because again, athletic quarterback is really good. Otherwise, like you guys are saying, just Zach Evans is just the big mystery because he's so talented. I know we keep talking about Zach Evans all over. If you go back and listen to other podcasts, we've name dropped him so many times, but he's that good. I'm not saying he could make a Kenneth Walker impact, but he might. So we'll see where he ends up.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so now just quickly touch on y'all's thoughts in the past week. What have been the big news of transfers? Of course, we've got Dylan Gabriel heading to UCLA. What are y'all's thoughts on that one?
I like it. I kind of like the going to the West Coast. Was UCLA always like in my mind when I was thinking Dylan Gabriel? No, but I kind of like the move in retrospect. In fact, I actually really like the move. It's going to be nice for Chip Kelly to get a really good quarterback. I mean, no offense to DTR, but I would definitely take Dylan Gabriel. So it's going to be really interesting to watch that UCLA offense next year.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel. I think it's good for UCLA to get a really good quarterback like him, and he was kind of struggling a little bit this year, but it's because Gus Malzahn would rather have cornerbacks or running backs running his offense. Like if you look at one of his best quarterbacks, Nick Marshall, he's currently a cornerback up in Canada because Gus Malzahn's offense is just kind of basically the Wildcat with occasional short throws. So Dylan Gabriel didn't really fit that. I hope that Chip Kelly, they can figure it out because Chip Kelly is going into his final year, and head coaches never go into their final year of a contract unless you want them out. So I hope that he stays and that they can build the offense around Dylan Gabriel. So if everything goes well, I think it'll be overall positive for Gabriel and UCLA. if not with Kelly's situation, Gabriel might unfortunately have gotten himself screwed, but we'll see.
Yep, awesome. And then we've got the big one. The SEC is confused. Oregon fans are having meltdowns on Reddit. I would be too. Bo Nix headed to Oregon. Andrew really was lost about that one there. Josh, you seemed excited. What's your thoughts?
Honestly, I like Bo Nix. I think he's fine. And just in looking at everything, fine is fine. And for Oregon, I think they'll take him because I think he's a slightly better Anthony Brown, where he's a veteran presence, he can run around a little bit, and he's a better passer. Will that make them a playoff contender? I don't think so, because Bo Nix will have that play where he scrambles around and throws a touchdown, or he'll have that play where he scrambles around and then gets sacked. I don't think it'll be enough. But the old he'll have fun. It's his year, dark horse Heisman candidate, blah blah blah. That'll be fun. I mean, for us as people looking for content to talk about, it's amazing for us. So selfishly, I love it. And Bo Nix, again, I'm a fan of yours. I like you. You're cool. So do good.
Andrew, I do not think you have the same reaction.
Yeah, I mean, also shout out Josh. I was definitely gonna just say, oh, I think this is gonna be the year. Bo Nix, he's gonna improve so much under this new offense. He's gonna be focused. He's gonna be having fun. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a dark horse for the Heisman, but of course that gets stolen. This move makes no freaking sense. Ty Thompson is there. He's been sitting this year. I don't know why you would bring in Bo Nix. Like, what do you see in Bo Nix? Like, genuinely, are they only watching the LSU game? That's it? Like, he was not good. He was just, you can't say enough, like, mediocre. Like, that's kind of what you get. It's not even mediocre. It's just mediocre average, because he'll have those really good games against LSU, but then he'll have those, like, okay, what the heck are you doing, Bo? I don't understand this move. I would just roll with Ty Thompson, unless they really don't like Ty Thompson. That just wouldn't really make sense. Ty Thompson also has tweeted 10 toes down, so I would assume that means he's ready for a competition. And I mean, if he wins that competition, that's just going to look sad for Bo Nix. Obviously, you want the guy to succeed because he's been in college for a while now, but
3 years. He is the same age as me. Don't make him sound old.
Okay, well, if we're talking old, there was someone committed to A&M today that will be going into college when I graduate college. So now I feel old, and I'm a freshman.
Okay.
But I don't know. A lot of the rumors were Bo Nix to UCF to go back to Gus Malzahn or to Ole Miss, which I bought. I definitely bought the Ole Miss rumors because Bo Nix and Lane Kiffin, that would have been something to watch. But yeah, once again, I don't understand this move from Oregon. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm a big Ty Thompson fan. I really enjoyed his recruitment process and seeing him end up at Oregon. So it feels a little strange. Definitely a part of the whole coaching shit that's recently happened there that brought Bo Nix there. Bo Nix, I always say, he just baffles me. Like, I have so many questions. I respect him as a quarterback, but then he does things and I'm like, you're an SEC quarterback? You beat Bama? Like, those are the things that I just think about whenever I think about Bo Nix. Like Andrew said, wish him the best. Still very confused. If he doesn't win this job, this is going to be sad, very sad. But anyways, moving past Bo Nix and whatever he is and has going on there, good luck moving to the cold. That's basically final word of Bo Nix.
The cold is underrated, by the way.
I have been freezing in Texas. It is literally like 40 degrees, and I've been shivering nonstop. So
it was negative 20 wind chill the other day, and I was out shoveling in shorts.
Not the same. You're not.
Real quick, you guys talk about old. I just remembered there was a Tulsa player, Christian Williams, a safety. This was his 7th year at Tulsa, and he finishes with a win. So shout out to you, and that was just a thing to drop in. If we're talking about Bo Nix and that feeling like he's been in college a long time, 7 years in college is ridiculous.
My
I
gosh.
hope he's leaving with his master's and a bowl ring at the same time. That would be beautiful. So congratulations to him. Milk Tulsa of all of their money paying for his education. Beautiful. All right, moving on to the bowl games of this week. Getting started, the bowl game that is my favorite named bowl. It's the famous Idaho Potato Bowl between Kent State and Wyoming. Kent State's got a talented offense. Had the luck of watching them play A&M. Was terrified of their offense, even though we are literally the SEC school playing them. But guess what? They're in a bowl game and they look well. I think really as long as Kent State's defense looks pretty solid, that they can lock in a win. However, I am picking Wyoming because I do not think that defense will be able to lock it in. Josh, what are your thoughts?
I think I picked Kent State, and I think it's just because Wyoming's offense just scares me where it's so old school, which can be good. Like they love to run the ball and they are really good at it, but it's just sometimes it's so slow and I hate it. And I guess it's my bias against that offense because it's kind of not fun to watch. But Kent State's is fun to watch, and Kent State's been really fun. Just all year, their offense has been good. Like I mean, they flopped in the MAC championship game, but I think they're gonna want to come out and look good. Shout out Dustin Crum, quarterback. So I pick Kent State, but I could easily see Wyoming just grind out a really disgusting victory.
Andrew?
You know, if you've been picking the Mac so far, you haven't been winning. That's kind of the first thing. The Mac, I want to say, is 0-2 to start. Obviously, Eastern Michigan got absolutely walloped by Liberty, and Toledo lost to Middle Tennessee, and Northern Illinois lost to Coastal. So that's three. But I am gonna go off of everything I just said and just be an absolute hypocrite and take Kent State. I love their offense. Dustin Crum's gonna have a great game. Marquez Cooper, the running back, he has over 1,000 yards. He'll add to that total. And I'm not gonna lie, I can't pick a team that had a close game with Connecticut.
Already moving on to the Frisco Bowl, we've got one of the most highly anticipated I'm going to call them a random matchup because it's not like a New Year's Eve game, but we've got UTSA playing San Diego State. You've got the Mountain West runner-up versus the Conference USA champ. UTSA is such a talented team. Everyone loves UTSA, but they're going no Sincere McCormick in this game. He's decided to opt out. He's chilling with his team, though, prepping for the bowl game this week, hanging out in Frisco. There's not that much to do in Frisco. I'm not sure what they're doing over there. But talent on SDSU's defense will definitely make this quite the matchup, especially knowing that UTSA is without a kid who really operates their offense. However, I am picking UTSA because they know that and they're going to exploit that. So what are y'all's thoughts?
UTSA, no matter what, even if their entire team was without like their entire starters, I would pick them. I do not like San Diego State at all. I think that they were overrated this year. But I'm actually quickly double checking because I haven't seen if Rashad Wisdom is playing in this game, and that would not really affect my decision because I would still pick UTSA. But I would want to watch this game. I can't see anything. Tariq Woolen's in the transfer. No, he's in the draft, I think. Yeah, UTSA. I think San Diego State's been overrated this entire year. I mean, shout out Matt Araiza, best punter in the country, but UTSA wins by 25.
I don't think San Diego State's that bad. I think I heard this on somewhere else, and I apologize again for not crediting, but they are Iowa West, where they're solid, they're good. They'll like win 9 to 10 games occasionally. Like they'll be good, but they're not fun to watch. It's disgusting. They don't list the starting quarterback because both of them are really bad. And also, they don't throw, and that's why I'm also picking UTSA because without Sincere McCormick, Frank Harris is the better quarterback. And just sometimes if you just don't know, you just pick the better quarterback in a matchup. And both sides, it is something to watch that both sides are missing several quarterbacks and some are questionable because of COVID stuff or injuries or other things. So this might be a shell of each team, but again, like Andrew said, like SDSU, they're not fun to watch. So I'm picking UTSA.
All right. And moving down the road to Fort Worth, we've got the Armed Forces Bowl. Missouri's playing Army. These teams are just wild. Congratulations, Missouri, to being in a bowl game. Truly beautiful. I would hate to be playing in the Armed Forces Bowl as Missouri in this moment because I think this means that Army will murder them. I should have used different words, but I hope they respect Army enough to let them have this win. Carter Bazelak is a talented quarterback, and I just don't think he's going to be able to do enough because it's Army. And Terrell Robinson is actually who I have as my player spotlight. He'll be rushing this very well in a well-matched game. Andrew, is this your pick too? Oh no.
Why? Yes, it is.
Fine. It is the same person?
Yes, I literally have it in my notes.
Okay, well, I'm so glad he's italicized in mine. So, Tyrell Robinson, please have a good game for the sake of Andrew and I.
Yes.
I think he's a talented running back. I was looking through a couple of his stuff, and I really enjoyed him. So, yes, that is my pick, Army. We'll move to Andrew for Andrew to explain his now.
I mean, I picked Tyrell Robinson because he's averaging over 9 yards a carry, and Missouri has the 7th worst run defense in the country. I mean, if you're averaging 230 yards per game given up on the ground, and you're playing Army, have fun. I mean, have fun because you're not going to win. Just have fun.
In the Armed Forces, but they can't.
And Army's coming off a loss against Navy. They're not losing.
No.
Yeah, I think just Missouri, they're cool. Tyler Beatty, their running back, he's awesome. But you support the troops. I'm wearing the Captain America hat. I didn't even realize that. You support them. So go Army. That they're just gonna run for like 900 yards.
Oh, that would be so funny. All right, moving on. We've got and I can't say this word, I think it's hard to say, the Gasparilla Bowl of UCF and Florida. I think Emory Jones is playing in this game. I know.
He is in the portal.
He's
playing.
Portal,
he's playing. He's going to play, then he's going to transfer. So this is his audition.
Yeah, it's so weird.
I've never heard of that.
Maybe he just respects his team. So, anyways, I will let this stream into why I think Florida's going to win, because even without Emory Jones, I think they've got some talent. Florida had an awful season. They just got bullied. They just did everything wrong. And I think with that complicated season in Gainesville, winning this bowl game against school that's also in their state, that'll really help their 6-6 season to not hurt so bad. So going with Florida in that one. Emory Jones, will I see you lined up behind the center? I don't know, but good luck in the transfer portal after.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me this was a bowl game like 3 years ago, I'd be hyped. Oh, this is a New Year's Six. This may be like some really good bowl. But no, in 2021, this is your Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. Woohoo. Florida and UCF, I mean, I could not think about just more uninteresting matchup for me. Florida this year was disgusting. UCF was also like, ugh. I mean, UCF wasn't bad, but Gus Malzahn coached team never, really hits me. So Florida probably wins this because they have more talent, but I don't know. I don't really think this game is that interesting. But it'll probably end up being the best bowl game, knowing that. So
I'm going with UCF. Even though Florida, they have the better athletes, better talent. Well, you could say that, but then UCF does a good job of recruiting. Again, Emory Jones, like even if he's playing UCF, I don't think he's going to be that good. And even though I know he'll be motivated to play really good because this is his audition tape, basically, I don't know. UCF, they are missing Dylan Gabriel again. He's been out with an injury. Then he entered the transfer portal and he's gone. But I don't know the backup, honestly. Apologies. But he's had about half the season to play, so they've been good. UCF, they've been wanting to play a Power 5 for years. The Power 5s, honestly, they've been ducking them. Not because they don't want to give them the time of day, but honestly, they're kind of scared to play them because they know UCF is pretty good. So I don't know. UCF might be motivated. Florida, I have no idea how their motivation is going to be. And also because you guys went with the same player for your pick. I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna pick a guy who is a first round talent, one of the top corners, Kyer Elam. Honestly, he might not put up that many stats in this game. It's because they're not gonna throw his direction most likely. So his like stat line might be like nothing, honestly. But if you like break down the tape and advanced analytics, yada yada yada, he'll probably be like really really good after the game. So I'm gonna go with him, but I'm still gonna pick UCF, and which means that Emory Jones is gonna throw for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns.
All right. And now we're moving on to some Christmas Eve football in Hawaii. 7 p.m. Central Time, Christmas Eve. If anyone's family will also be tuning in, mine will. My dad added it to our schedule today. We've got Memphis playing Hawaii. I'm a big Memphis fan. Their quarterback, Seth Hennigan, is one of my favorite Texas high school quarterbacks I've ever watched play. And seeing him shine, we'll call it, for Memphis this season has really made my heart full. So I think he will be able to play really well against this Hawaii team that does not have a good passing defense. He might be able to throw for quite a few yards. Seth will definitely have himself a very Merry Christmas Eve in Hawaii, celebrating being warm before he has to come back to the cold of North Texas.
Yeah. First off, why are there games on Christmas? I've had that rant 3 times on this podcast. You don't need to hear it again. But this is definitely an interesting game because Memphis is going to be without their best offensive weapon, Calvin Austin III. He's not traveling to Hawaii. He will probably be prepping for the NFL draft. I don't know. Once again, Hawaii, like, if the game isn't at like 1 a.m., it doesn't feel like Hawaii. So this game is going to, I mean, to be fair, it's also good it's not at 1 a.m. because that would mean that it's going to Christmas Day. But that's a whole complete different discussion. Memphis probably wins. This is probably going to be close, though. I like Memphis win by like 4 or something.
Yeah, you mentioned how Memphis is going to be missing one of their best players. Hawaii is not going to have their starting quarterback and their starting running back. They both entered the transfer portal and will not be playing. A lot of it's because there was a report coming out about how Todd Graham, the head coach, is not a good guy, apparently, and that there's just a lot of turmoil in Hawaii. So he's probably gone. If anything, they're probably not that motivated to play. And so I'm going to pick Memphis. And just a shout out to, I did pick Kyer Elam as my star to watch and everything. But my secondary guy who will hopefully put up stats is Calvin Turner Jr., the wide receiver, running back, returner for Hawaii. He's just, especially with a lot of their players missing out for Hawaii, he's going to be the focal point even more so. He's a stat stuffer. Like he'll have like 30 yards receiving, 30 yards rushing, a random touchdown in there. He's all over the place. He's really, really fun. I think he'll be entering the draft after this game. He'll be a good guy to watch in the draft just as like a little jitterbug guy, just all over the place. So I'm picking Memphis, but watch out for Calvin Turner Jr.
Awesome. All right. And then our last game of the week on Saturday, we're going to hope this prevents an Andrew rant. Our Christmas Day bowl game. It's a fun little silly one. We've got Georgia State playing Ball State. These two defenses struggle big time. There will be some Christmas Day chaos. I, however, believe in this Christmas Day chaos will lead to the underdog Ball State winning this game. It'll just be an interesting one. It'll cause some giggles probably. Chaos is what I'm calling it, Christmas chaos. So, Josh, what are your thoughts of the Camilla Bowl here?
I need to look at our spreadsheet because I honestly don't know who I picked. Oh, okay. I picked Georgia State, but I have it in italics because I'm still up in the air because I honestly don't know. So for the pods, for right now, I'm saying Georgia State. But for the official thing, when it gets put up on Twitter, I might have changed it because honestly, I don't know much about these two teams. I know Ball State is really super senior laden, and going into the season, there's a lot of like hype that, hey, a lot of returning players should be really good for them. But also, if a lot of players are returning, that probably means they're not good enough for the draft, which probably means they aren't good, which is kind of shown this year. On the other side, Georgia State, I usually watch them, but this year I didn't catch a single second. So I'll be honest, I have no idea. Georgia State, probably going to stick with it, and I'll probably regret it. But I don't know, just something fun for Christmas.
Yeah, Georgia State Ball State is another matchup that is not really the most interesting, but knowing that it will probably be one of the best bowls we have this year. Christmas Day football, the fans will like it, the players probably won't. But once again, I'll try not to rant about that. Georgia State averages 380 yards per game on offense. I kind of like that over a MAC defense of Ball State that Lauren touched on isn't that good. So I don't know what I have in the spreadsheet, but whatever it is, it'll end up being Georgia State. I will go double check that right now.
But yes, so super fun little Christmas Day chaos. I think that shall be its title, not the Camilla Bowl. That's lame.
Yeah, that is lame.
I mean, I'm assuming that's how you would say it. It looks like how you would spell a girl's name, Camilla. So.
Wait, is it the Camellia? Because there's an I at the end.
Oh, Camellia? I don't. Is that like Camellia?
If you're having if you have a bowl game that no one can pronounce correctly, why is it the name of your bowl? Just do something like simple, like the Rose Bowl or the Frisco Football Classic.
The Transfer Portal Bowl, sponsored by insert sponsor.
No
I'm telling you,
context.
2030, that'll be us.
I wouldn't say 2030. I'd say like 2023.
Hey, whoop. Y'all don't get that.
Yeah, I have Georgia State in the thing, so that will stay the same.
There we go. That's all for this week with the Transfer Portal CFB. Any last words before we head into another week of fun, silly, crazy bowl games?
No matter how good or bad the bowl is, appreciate it while you got it. We don't got much college football left.
Beautifully said.
If you get to see my picks ahead of time before a game, pick opposite, because once again I've been struggling and it's not good. So, but hey, like at this point I've mentally disassociated from my picks, so it doesn't even matter. I'm just cheering for good games, and overall we've had good games. So let's hope that trend continues. Let's hope that no one gets hurt. Y'all have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and once again, like I said, 2030, the Transfer Portal Bowl, that'll be us.
Alrighty, there you have it. Thanks for tuning in this week, y'all. We can't wait for another fun week of some college bowl games. Like Josh said, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I hope these football players play safe, play well, entertain us, but safely throughout the rest of the week with these bowl games. And everyone that is in the transfer portal right now, best of luck. Please end up in a spot that you will flourish at and not one that literally has us confused. So there you have it, and y'all have a nice week.